Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July operator meeting. My name is Hannah Hickam, and I'll be your host for today. We'll just give folks a few more minutes to jump on the call, and then we'll get started with announcements.
Can I teach with a barbed wire?
Thanks everybody for your patience. We're just waiting for everyone to jump on. You can go ahead and chat any questions you have to the chat box, and you can do that throughout the meeting. And I think we'll get questions at the end. All right, it looks like everybody has jumped on now. So we'll go ahead and get started with Jane has a few announcements.
Thank you, Hannah. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for attending our monthly operator meeting. The only announcement that I have is pretty general, and that is if you have questions about the financial assurance rulemaking, the draft rules, etc., you're being represented by the trade organizations, so you need to reach out to them with any questions. So I think that's the only announcement.
Great, thanks, Jane. Then we'll get started with the OGDP applications. This is Sabrina Trask, and give me just a moment to bring that one up. There we go. And all right, Sabrina, take it away.
Thanks, Hannah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sabrina Trask, Senior Oil and Gas Location Assessment Specialist. Hannah, if you could just go to the first slide, please. I have a short but a very important reminder for everyone today. We've been seeing some significant inconsistencies within the OGDP application components, specifically issues or conflicts between the data presented in the hearing application and the data presented in the Form 2A, 2B, or 2C. Some examples of these inconsistencies include the drilling and spacing unit acreage listed in the hearing application does not, in a couple of cases, has not aligned with the DSU acreage shown in, excuse me, the OGDP map that's attached to the Form 2C or the ALA maps that's attached to the Form 2A. We've seen cases where the number of proposed wells listed in the hearing application is different than the number of proposed wells on the Form 2A. And we've had quite a few issues with the hearing application, the language of the hearing application, the description of the application lands, the description of the surface location of DSU acreage, of legal locations is just generally unclear and conflicting even within the hearing application itself. Next slide, please, Hannah. So these inconsistencies between the hearing application and the various e-form components of your OGDP is causing some delays, certainly delays in passing completeness. In the completeness process, it means that staff might have to ask for an amended hearing application, or we might have to return a Form 2A back to draft to fix attachments or data or plans. This could cause delays in technical review, where we might need to ask for revised attachments. If we found issues between the components during a hearing, that would just be generally bad. Don't really want to think about what that would look like. If we discovered discrepancies or issues that got approved in the OGDP approval, that could cause problems or delays in processing the subsequent APDs that came in for that OGDP after the fact. And if that was bad enough, that might require the OGDP to be amended, which means the applicant is going all the way back to the very beginning. Hannah, next slide, please. So a couple quick and easy ways to get it right. I think the biggest issue that we're seeing is that the regulatory staff who is working on the e-forms components, the Form 2A, 2B, 2C, is not communicating either effectively or directly with the legal staff who is writing the hearing application. The legal staff is not communicating either effectively or enough with the regulatory staff. So somewhere in there, there's a disconnect between regulatory staff doing e-forms and legal staff doing the hearing application. So if applicants could open those lines of communication and make sure that there's two-way communication happening between regulatory staff and legal staff, that would be really helpful. The hearing application also needs to, it doesn't have to specifically match everything word for word in the 2A, 2B, or 2C, but it cannot contradict anything in the 2A, 2B, or 2C. And then data across the 2A, the 2B, and the 2C must match the other e-forms as well. So the best way to do this is open communication between regulatory staff and legal staff and have an internal QA/QC process for the entire OGDP application. All the components need to be aligned with each other so that you are submitting an OGDP application where everything works together and staff is able to pass completeness quickly, get it through technical review quickly, get it through hearings quickly. The commissioners can clearly and cleanly understand everything because everything works together. And that is all that I have. Thanks, Hannah.
All right, thank you, Sabrina. Next up, we have Jane with web forms, I think. Just a moment while I get that one up. Web forms, yeah, not e-forms. All right, Jane, take it away.
Thank you, Hannah. Good morning, everybody. This is just a quick intro to web forms. We're almost there. So I'm going to give you some just some basic look at the web forms and talk a little bit about it. Next slide, please, Hannah. So the differences between good old e-forms and web forms, there's quite a few. So they look different. There's different fonts, there's different colors in web forms. The layout, meaning the location of some of the data fields or elements on the dashboard, on the header, on the wizard, on the forms tabs, they're different. And some of the data field functions are different. But the things that have not changed are the content, meaning the information and data are exactly the same. The workflow hasn't changed. Tasks, assignments, form status, those things are the same. And the function, of course, what do our forms do? They lead to the approval for operations and also taking in reported information to update the database. So that hasn't changed. Next slide, Hannah. So when we release web forms, which will be in August, we have staff designated by form that are your point of contact for any and all questions or concerns or problems. And so that goes for whether it's specific to a particular form, like you're trying to submit a form 4 and you can't find what you need. It's not like where you found it in the e-form. Or if you just have a general question about web forms, you still pick someone from the list, which I'll show you in a minute, and send your concerns or questions to them. Whoever that person is, they will answer your question to the best of their knowledge. And if they don't have the answer, they'll get it. They'll address your concern again to the best of their ability. And if they can't, they'll get some help on that. Or they will send your problem to the developers to get it fixed. And that includes, they'll track the resolution and including checking back with you to make sure that the problem is resolved. So please don't contact any of our IT staff directly. You're going to have point people, staff to contact. Next slide, please, Hannah. And here are all those people. Again, they're designated by form, but they're also available for general, how does this work in web forms kind of questions. And of course, their emails are on the contacts page on our website. So please, please, please send everything to these people. They're the people that have tested the web form versions of our forms. And so they're your experts. Next slide, please, Hannah. So how will you get into web forms? Well, there'll be a new link on the home page, and it'll take you to a sign-in, which looks like this, the thing in the middle there. You will use your current e-form username and password. We're not going to have new logins. It's all going to be the same. Web forms only works in Chrome. So if you're not using Chrome, you'll get that spinning wheel of loading for all of eternity. Next slide, please, Hannah. So here's our good old eForms dashboard. Everything looks familiar to us. Next slide, please, Hannah. And here's what the web form dashboard looks like. So again, it has all the same content, but things aren't exactly in the same place, and there's different fonts and things are different sizes and different colors, but it's all still there. So you'll see that to start a new form, there's a little new form up in the upper left. Next slide, please, Hannah. So when you click on that, you get what's right here in the center, available forms. And in the lower left is what good old eForms looks like. It's the list of the available forms. In eForms, you just clicked on it. In web forms, you actually have to check the box and then click create. Next slide, please, Hannah. So here's the wizard. So the web form wizard for the Form 5A is there in the upper left, and right below it is the good old eForms. In the upper right and lower right are the comparison of the wizard for the Form 4 in web forms, and then our eForm version. So some differences are you click save instead of create form, and you click close instead of cancel. Next slide, please, Hannah. So here's a comparison of the header information between the new web forms and the old eForms. The information on the header is in several lines instead of one single line. The header information can be copied, which I find a nice feature. The tabs don't have an outline, like a box around it, until you click on it. And on the forms with lots of tabs, like this is the Form 2, the tabs actually wrap around into 2 lines. So I hope you already have seen that everything's there. It just looks a little bit different. Next slide, please, Hannah. So a difference the way dates work. We have lots of dates in our forms. The date fields require a 2-digit month and day with leading zeros, but you don't have to type in the slashes if you're typing for your data entry. So for September 21st, 2018, you would type in 0929, actually not 2021, but 2018. The slash will be automatically added if you just key in the numbers. But of course, we also have the calendar where you can just click the date you need. Next slide, please, Hannah. The data grids look a little bit different. So a data grid is one of the tables in our forms that have the add and remove buttons to enter one or more lines of data. So some differences are that there are 2 sets of add and remove buttons, one at the top and one at the bottom of the table. It looks a little silly when there's only one line of data, but when there's a lot, it is helpful. So you use either one. There's also a new search feature to search information in that particular grid. Again, there's 2, one at the top, one at the bottom. Use either one. And there's a checkbox. So in eForm, if you wanted to remove a line of data, you would just click on that tiny blue arrow at the far left of the line of data. In web forms, there's actually a checkbox at the far left. So you check it, and then you click remove, and it will clear out that line of data. Next slide, please, Hannah. So the validation error messages work a little differently. They appear at the far left, so you can see in the far left where the red arrow is pointing to the edge of the message box. If you click on it, it slides open just like it does in eForm, but there's no need to pin it. It will stay there until you click on it again and it'll slide back off the page. So you don't have to pin and unpin, it's just always there. But the big difference is that the box scrolls up out of sight if you scroll down on the tab. And that's what the screenshot there at the bottom right is showing you, that it disappears. So that's just something to be aware of. In eForms, it stayed put as the tab scrolled underneath it. And in web forms, it's attached. So it doesn't stay there, it scrolls away. Next slide, please, Hannah. So this is a little crazy slide, but it just shows you an example. This is the attachments from the dashboard, and everything's color coded, showing you that all the content is there, but it's just in different places and looks a little different. So the blue arrow is pointing down in eForms to the new attachment button. In web forms, you would use the add button. So to remove it in eForms, when your form is in draft, you would click that little checkbox at the far right and under delete. In web forms, you click the checkbox on the far left and then you click remove. To save in eForms, the green arrow is showing you the save updates. Up in web forms, it's pointing at the refresh. In eForms, it shows the attachment. Sorry, the chat is interfering with my. In eForms, it has the document number at the top. Web forms does too. And then the close is in a slightly different place, but it's still there. And then all of the pieces or the portions of a record, the description, the lookup menu for all the names of the attachments, the name of the file and the view, they're all there. They just look a little bit different. Thanks. Next slide, Hannah. Here's the attachment tab. Again, it looks a little bit different, but it has all the same elements, same content, same function. Next slide, please, Hannah. So for the web forms release, we're aiming for the first week of August, but it might be the second week of August, but the earliest it would be is August 2nd. For additional instructions, this presentation will be expanded and posted when we release web forms. The August operator meeting is on the 17th, and we'll have a presentation of additional information and course questions and answers. And in the meantime, you always have the staff contacts available for questions. So that's all I had today. Like I said, the name of this presentation was an intro to web forms. Clearly, we're not going to have instructions for every tab, for every form, but I think this gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. And when you get in there and start working it, at least in staff's experience, it only takes a couple days for it to feel comfortable. Staff right now is using web forms to process some of our forms. They're working out a lot of bugs. And like I said, this will be expanded. I'm going to reach out to staff to see what should be added to this to help operators get comfortable with web forms when we release it in 2 or 3 weeks. So that's it. I guess it's time for questions.
Thanks, Jane. Yes, it is time for questions. The first question we have is, when will COGCC publish guidance or give training on how the variance process will work with the new rules? And I think the person that would answer that is not on the call. Let me see.
Hannah.
Yes.
Sorry, my internet connection is unstable. Are you going to answer that question?
No, I was going to look to see if my chat thing had any answers. I think the answer is that we're still waiting for it to be signed off on, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Hannah, I think that the director is currently reviewing that draft guidance.
Okay.
So it's in the works.
Yeah, we don't have an ETA. Sorry about that. Here. And let's see, the next question is, will eForms login information work to log in to web forms, or did I catch that there will be all new logins?
I think I had a slide that said you use your eForm credentials, and no, there will not be new logins.
Great, thank you, Jane. Next question is, if we draft a form now in eForms, will it convert to web forms if we don't submit it before the conversion?
Yes.
Thank you. Next question is, when will eForms become unavailable to use and submit forms? The same day as the release of web forms?
Right, the same day.
All right. And the next
We
question,
will turn, we'll turn web forms on and turn eForms off. It's a 100% switch.
thank you, Jane. And the next question is, how will the search function work? Will users still be able to search forms in draft, submitted, in process, etc.? Will prior eForms be included in the searchable data?
Well, prior eForms, I guess you're asking about approved eForms. I think so. I'll have to check with our IT guys. The search function will work just the same way as it works now in eForms.
All right, thank you. The next question is, will the operator guidance forms documents be updated eventually?
Yes. Could
Okay.
take us a while.
The next question is, refresh is actually the save button?
You know, it's actually, web forms works differently. As soon as you upload an attachment, it's saved. So there's no need to save. Refresh is refresh.
Okay, next question is, I did not see Form 7 listed on web forms. Is Form 7 still submitted via eForms?
Nope, it'll be web forms, and I don't know how I missed that form. No, it's there. It says Form 7, Corey and Enrique. On slide 4.
Oh, I'm just trying to pull it up real quick.
Thanks, Hannah.
Yeah, there we go, slide 4. Okay, that did not do what I thought it was gonna do. Just give me a second here. I have too many windows open.
Well, it's there. It's there. And it's Corey and Enrique, because they're our experts on the Form 7.
Corey and Enrique, awesome. Thank you for that answer. And the next question is, will draft forms also be transferred to the new web forms?
Yes.
All right. And the next question is the autosave function the same for all info entered on each tab or only for attachments?
Only attachments.
All right, we'll give folks a few more minutes to type their questions in.
So, you know, the way to think about web forms and eForms is that they are simply the user interface. When you submit when you build a form, that data is sitting in a database, and the web form or eForm are just two ways of looking at the same data. It's just the user interface. Everything behind it stays the same.
All right, while we're waiting for folks to type their questions in, just wanted to let everybody know that the August operator meeting, sorry, I didn't change that word on this last slide here, is going to be on Tuesday, August 17th. So normally it would be on the 10th, but there's commission business going on that day, and so we had to move it. So mark your calendars for the 17th at 9. I'm gonna change that real quick.
So I should have made this announcement at the beginning, but actually it's better to make it now since there's quite a few more people on now than there was at the beginning of the meeting. So this Friday is July 16th. And since January, we've been telling operators that this is the day that we clear out old Form 2s and Form 2As. So in terms of pending 2s and 2As, meaning they're in process, on hold, or in delayed status, anything that was submitted prior to January 15th will disappear. They're old, they're gone. You can always send in a replacement for them, but they will be cleared out of the e-form system. They will disappear from the map system. They'll be gone. And all the forms in draft, if the form was created prior to April 15th of 2019, which was the effective date of Senate Bill 19-181, those will be cleared out this Friday as well. So just a reminder, we've finally gotten to that date.
Thanks, Jane. And we have another question. Will we need anything downloaded to make web forms work? Like currently we had to have Silverlight.
No, that's the whole reason we have web forms, is to get rid of Silverlight.
Nice. And the next question is, will expired permits also be removed from the map along with the outdated forms?
No, not at this time.
Great, thanks, Jane.
And a reminder on the use of web forms. The other thing about e-forms, you had to have Silverlight and you had to use an ancient version of Internet Explorer, which was hard to maintain on your computer because every time you had an update, it wiped it out. So web forms only works on Chrome. Just a reminder, doesn't work on Internet Explorer, doesn't work on Edge and any other random browsers that are hanging out there. It's a Chrome deal. Any other questions?
All right, well, if any other questions show up, I'll either read them out or we'll get them on the Q&A document that will eventually be posted with the rest of the presentations and such from today. So thank you everyone for being with us. If you need to be added to the operator email list, please email me at that email listed on the screen. Make sure you get my last name right, otherwise it won't get here to me. And every week, I think certainly everybody's on it by now, but no, every week at least 5 people send me emails saying they need to be on the list. So if you need to be on the list, email me and I'll put you on the list. And then the next operator meeting is Tuesday, August 17th. And so we'll see you guys then. Thank you for being here.
Wait, Hannah.
Sorry, did someone?
People are already bailing. Just building on what Sabrina said, I know that there are some attorneys who attend our operator meetings. I know there's a lot of them on the list that Hannah uses to send out these invitations. But to address what Sabrina is talking about, I would encourage operators to encourage their attorneys, of course I suppose you have to pay them to do this, but to attend these operator trainings. I've personally fielded numerous questions from attorneys that practice before us that all of operators use routinely. They send me all these questions and I say, gosh, you should have been at our operator meeting. You should have been at our operator training. We go over all of this stuff. So you might consider asking the attorneys you hire to attend these meetings to have the big picture better, and they could serve you better. So just a thought, a suggestion.
Great suggestion, Jane. Thank you.
what it's worth. Thanks.
All right, and with that, it's been a few minutes since anyone sent a question in, so it looks like we're good to go. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.